Hey guys, how you going today? Hope you're all having a lovely day. It is this time of the month already for my March temptations. I was actually quite surprised this month that my list is very short. I'm not sure if this is just, maybe the no-buy period is kind of giving me a kick up the arse at the moment, and it's really kind of getting that into my mindset that you don't have to buy, you don't have to want things. So just to give you a bit of a sneak peek, this is my January temptations list, this is my February temptations list, this is March. So I'm not sure if maybe it is the the no buy that's really giving it to me, or whether it's just that there was not a lot that was interesting me this month. But at least 2, possibly 3 of the things on here, maybe even 4, have been around for a little while. So it's not, maybe even 5, I don't know. Some of the things I'm looking at, I don't know how long they've been out for. So let's get into this. The first items are a couple of sales. So there was a Priceline sale at the start of this month, and I think it was like 50% off, or 50% off some things, 30% off and off others, and I was kind of a bit tempted. There have been some things that they're on my Priceline wish list, they've been on there for a while, that I was really tempted to get, but I'm like, no, I'm on the no buy. Some of it was makeup, some of it was skincare and a few other things, but I'm like, no, I'll just leave it. I have enough. The next one, I'm not sure if it came up once or twice, but it was a Morphe sale. So at the start of the month, I added some brush sets to my temptations list that I have. And it's mainly because I own a fair amount of brushes. I'm just going to reach over and grab them now. So these are all my clean brushes. I only have like maybe a handful of dirty ones. These are the ones that I use all the time and I love. So there's, if I take that one out of there, there's honestly not that many. I can get maybe 2, possibly 3, maybe 4 if I push it looks out of this, but there are a couple like these 3 right here I use constantly, and the 2 Morphe brushes that I own, these 2, they're pretty much the next used brushes. All of these here are the brushes that I've gotten in other makeup brush sets that I don't use. So I was looking at 2 of the brush sets in particular, and they seem to be all the style and shape of brushes that I do use. So, there's not going to be 100 repeated brushes that, I don't use. There's going to be, all different style and shaped ones that I do. And I know I'm just like holding these up really quickly for you here. You're probably not really going to be able to tell the difference, but there's a bit of a difference there. And the 2 brush sets in particular that I did like, they did have some fairly different brushes, and I think I would use the most of them. I know I mentioned in a past video that I'm going to try not to buy brush sets where I know I'm not going to use all of them or majority of them, but the 2 brush sets that I found that were on sale I did quite like, and I think I would use most of them. Like, there's not going to be brushes that I just repeated that I have no use for. The next item is one that I've wanted for so long, but they've never had it in any Mecca stores, and I don't think they will. But it's the 35F Fall Into Frost palette. Now, I'm not a big matte eyeshadow fan, and I think that's why I like this the most, is because it has only 1 row of mattes and the rest are all like metallics and shimmers. But I don't tend to have a lot of like grungy, not necessarily dirty, but the shades in here are just nothing like what I have. Probably the next closest thing that I have is the Jaclyn Hill Morphe in terms of, you know, the browns and whatnot. But the Jaclyn Hill Morphe has a lot of mattes in it, which, yeah, majority of all of the other palettes that I have are, you know, neutrally palettes and pinks and purples and light colors and all that. There's nothing that I own that's like this, and I wanted this for so long. I just want to dig my hands into it and swatch it all up my arms and just make some really, really beautiful looks out of it. So those have tempted me a lot. The brushes have done it twice because they were on sale at the start of the month, and the palette and the brushes, and I think a lot of their stuff is now on sale. Was on sale at the end of the month as well. The next items I absolutely know that I will love if I get them, but I know I shouldn't because I already have heaps of them and they're fairly similar to ones that I already own, but maybe that's part of the reason why I want it, is because that out of each of the collections that have been released recently, I have gotten something, and it's a ColourPop Disney collab. So I love, and I wanted the ColourPop Mulan lipsticks and glosses. Now I have the ColourPop Belle lipstick, I have 3 of the Disney villains from the collection, and I have one of the Luxe liquid lips from the most recent Disney collection as well. And I absolutely love the formula on all of them. I really like the lipstick color and the gloss. I think it's a gloss and a Luxe liquid lipstick and the normal lipstick, and I just love the colors of all of them. I think that if they had swapped around the formula and the shades in them so that the darker color was in the lipstick, I wouldn't have liked it as much. I quite like, you know, the shades they've picked for each formula, and I think it works really well. The next one I don't necessarily like, but it piqued my interest, and I'm a die-hard fan, and it's the Solar Look Charmed palette. Now I am a die-hard Charmed fan. I've watched it from way back in the day. It used to be my thing every Tuesday night, Wednesday night, whatever night it was on, I would sit down, I would put a face mask on, and I would just watch it. You know, this was back when I was a teenager. My family knew the routine. You know, it's just, I just loved it. And there were really only a couple of the shades in this that I did like. I don't really feel like it embraced the theme and the feeling of the show. I don't think that the colours that they've picked for the names really, you know, match up. They just, if you've watched the show, you'll most likely either agree 100% with what I'm saying, or you'll call me an idiot and say that I'm nuts, I'm insane, that they did a perfect job. But to me, when I look at the names of the shades, like, they're the characters' names, and when you think of those characters, a lot of them you're like, that color doesn't match up with that character. And the ones that I love the most are the, well, I was going to say the neutrally colors and then the bright colors, but that's the whole palette. I think that they could have laid it out a little bit better. If they'd have thrown in a few more shades in there in between, they could have made it look a bit more cohesive. And, you know, I could make the colors, like the bright colors, work. I could make the neutral colors work for different looks. But it would be a bit difficult for me to kind of make them all work together. You know, I'd need a few more shades in between. I do love the blue, the green, and I think there's a purple in there that I really love as well. They're really beautiful, but I'm not going to get it. It'll be one of those ones where I'm like, oh yeah, it'd be, you know, you'd get it just to stick it on, you know, on a shelf on the wall, just as a bit of merchandise, that kind of thing. But Yeah. Next ones are the Fenty Beauty Cream Blushes. And I do love the shades Petal Poppin' and Rosé Latte? Rosé Latte? I don't know. When I first saw them, I didn't see the swatches on the arms. It was more of just the, you know, the pans laid out on the ground. And the colours that I loved in the pan, I thought I would love. And the ones that I hated, you know, obviously I hated. But when I see them on the arms, I'm like, oh, that's completely different. The two that I really was not interested in, I really like. And the other ones that I absolutely loved, I look at them and I'm like, oh, yeah, I could never pull that off. Sorry, neighbours are just starting their motorbikes up again. Yeah, I'm interested in it, and I've mentioned in a past video before that I'm, you know, getting a bit more interested in different coloured blushes, and I'd love to give some more cream blushes a go. I really only have one cream one, or two. No, I've got one cream one at the moment. Yeah, I'd love to give them a go, but I think there are others that, you know, I could try instead. There they go. They'll be back in about half an hour. Next item I've never really been interested in before, but when they sent out the promo shop for this one, I looked at it and I'm like, ooh, that's so pretty. That's so pretty. I want it. I want all of them. And it's the Laura Mercier Caviar Sticks. Seeing all of these colours put together, I just think it's so beautiful. I don't think that I will ever be able to afford all of these. I'd love to try maybe one or two eventually, but I think it would have to be the more neutral kind of colours. But looking at these, this picture I'm going to save for when I'm doing my build your own palette eventually, and I'm going to get colours like this and I'm going to lay them out all next to each other because I think this shot is just beautiful. So next items are, I have added onto the list fairly recently, as in with only the last, you know, couple of days. One of them has been around for a little while, and it's the Maybelline Cheek Heat Blush in the colours Fuchsia Spark, Rose Flush and Nude Burn. I think I saw these in Priceline a couple of months ago, and maybe a few weeks ago, I can't remember. And I swatched a couple of them on my hand, and you know, I quite liked them. Same as with the Fenty blushes. The ones that I thought I would like, you know, in the tube, I ended up not liking the swatches of, and the ones that I didn't like in the tube, I loved, and I think they're really going to be great. Like, I would definitely love to give those a go. I would probably prefer to get those over the Fenty Beauty just because it is more, not necessarily cheaper, but more affordable for me at the moment. And the last one is another Maybelline item or items, and they're the Superstay Ink Crayons. And I really love the look of these. It reminded me a lot of the Bite Beauty crayons. And the colours that I like the most are the most nudie ones. Now I watched a video and I saw someone swatch all of them on the lips, and the ones that I liked, you know, the smears of and the swatches on the arm of are the ones that I love the, you know, images of, and it's Seek Adventure, Lead the Way and Stay Exceptional. I think once I work my way through a lot of the nudes in my drawer, I have quite a lot of nudes from different companies, and like I come across them and I'm like, oh, that's pretty, I'll buy it. And then I come across another one, I'm like, oh, that's pretty, I'll buy it. And I end up with so many from so many different brands that they are all so similar in colour. Like if you look at my video on my top 10 lip products, majority of my lipsticks are all the same colour. They're just slightly different finishes. Like one might be slightly more shiny, one might be slightly more matte, another one might have a slighter, you know, pinker undertone. But with these three that I have on my wish list or my temptations list, they are on my Priceline wish list as well because I wanted to remember which shades they were. these three on my temptations list are the ones that I think would suit me the most, and they do offer the slight differences in the color, like one's slightly more brown, one's slightly more pink. I'd love to see them in store, so next time I'm in there I'm going to swatch them on my arm. Maybe it will probably be one of those ones where I swatch it and I'm like, oh, whoa, yeah, that's completely different to how I thought it was going to be. And that's it. That's it. That is my entire list for this month. So I think last month I had 10 or 11 items. So for the past 2 months I've had 10 or 11 items each time. Let me just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 7, 8, 9, 10. 9 and 10. So January I had 9, February I had 10. This month I have 7. So I'm not sure if maybe it's just because I'm not really interested in buying anything at the moment, or maybe it's more that, you know, there's not a lot that's just interesting me at the moment release wise. You know, one of the items, that the Charmed palette, I could have done without that on the list, but I only added it on here because it was something that tempted me. It was like, yep, it's Charmed, I really want that. And then when I saw what it looked like, I'm like, yeah, no. And, you know, the other things on there that have been around for a while, so the Morphe items and the Maybelline, you know, cheek items, they're still on there because they have tempted me, even though they're not new releases. But yeah, if you have any thoughts about this, if there's anything that you're really loving the look of at the moment, please feel free to comment down below. But until then, I'll see you next time. Bye.